Olympics are still in full force. And when you get to MSDN, you could search for something like this. And it's going to give you, the definition plus some examples. So this is a great resource that you can utilize to expand your TSQL knowledge. So that was that. Moving on to the next one. The next one is going to be, let me clear this part, the offset command. So this is kind of cool. In fact, let me just get rid of that. So the offset clause, really what it does is provides you with an option to fetch only a window or page of results from the results set. Okay, so if you guys know Northwind database, let me highlight this first query. I'm going to just do a select star. Okay. This time let me move it up a little bit. So you notice that we have Alfred's, Anna, Antonio, right? But what if we wanted to skip some of these? In fact, we wanted to use just return, the first one and then skip 5 and then return the 6th one, so on and so forth. Okay? How would you do that? So now you can see that it is skipping. In fact, let me do this. I'm going to if I do this part, it should return us everything. Okay, and now I'm going to do every 5. Okay, so now it's returning basically blower. After blower, it's going blonde shell. These are really tough names. So, but anyway, let's do this. Let's remember these two here. Okay, and I will do this. So if I were to go back to my select, see what it did is it skipped all of these and it went straight to this part. Okay, so that's what an offset does. Let's see. You can also skip by 10. So let me try this one. Oops. Okay. So now it skipped 10 and then grabbed the rest of the records. Okay, you can see that we have Bees Beverage and then Cactus. Which would be, obviously it would have skipped those. Here it is. See, it skipped 10 and then went to 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that is the offset command. Moving on, there are quite a few new logical functions, and I'm going to highlight 2 of them. The first one is choose. This function is simple and it returns specified index from a list of values. Okay, so here I have two strings in here. It says select choose, get the second one between cash and money. I also go by that. So in the first case, it should really return money as our value, and in the second one it should return cash. So I'm going to highlight these 2 and then just run that. So you can notice that the first one indeed returned money, and then the next one is cash. Okay, so this can be useful if you're trying to get a certain value. The next one is the if function or IIF function. People you call a different one, but this is very popular in MS Office applications. It really takes 3 arguments. The first argument, if the first argument is true, then it will return the second argument as the result, or it will return the third argument as the result. So it's kind of like a case statement. So the idea is, let's just look at this one. If this expression is true, which meaning 100 is greater than 50, then I should really get true. Okay, and if this is false, which is 100 is not less than 50, I should get false. Okay, That's the idea behind that, and this can be used with any kind of logic that you're doing. So let's run that. Like I mentioned, the first one, it's true, and the second one is false. Okay, so those are some of the logical functions I wanted to show you. Moving on, we have basically a command called throw. This is used for error handling. This is very similar in concept to the RAISERROR function that has been around in SQL. In fact, let me do this. I'm going to highlight RAISERROR and then go back to MSDN. You can, by the way, you can also do this in Google. You don't have to be loyal to MSDN. Okay, so RAISERROR was typically used anytime you ran into problems and then you wanted to alert the program on some issues. That's what you would use. So now you have another choice. You can use the throw command. You can basically give it an error number, a message, and sort of like the severity. Okay, so if I highlight this part, I run it, see it's saying message is 61,115, level 16. Oh, that's the state, the last part of the state, and then it actually lists the message. So this can be somewhat useful if you're doing error handling in your routine. The next SQL Server command in 2012 is definitely useful. You run into this issue when working with databases, that you are trying to concatenate things, right? So we actually finally have a function. This lets you concatenate, if I can say it, two or more strings together, and this is available in SQL 2012. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to concatenate cash, my middle name money, and last name millionaire. Okay, if I highlight that, it should return all of the stuff combined. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is in a program. Let's say this is actually a more practical example, I guess. You're using an employees table from Northwind database. So let me show you what the data looks like first. Notice that right now we have last name as a different field, first name as a different field. But what if we wanted to go first name space last name? How would we do that? Well, you would have to use the concatenation character before, which is this. You can still do that, okay, but a better option is to go concat first name space last name and then full name. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that out. See how cool that is? It just basically put Nancy, DeWoljo, Andrew Fuller, and we're good to go like that. So definitely keep that in mind as you're working with SQL Server 2012. Moving on, our second last function or command that I will be highlighting is a format command. This can definitely be used when you are trying to output the value in a certain format. Okay, I have just chosen to show you some date examples. So this one you should be familiar with. This is the getDate function. This is going to return the native date. Okay, then I'm using the format function. I'm using getDate, but I would like to format in this manner. And then finally I'm using sort of like a European format where we go day, first, month, and then year. Today is August 6th, so we should be able to look at these three different formats. So let me go ahead and execute this. So notice this is your regular get date. Okay, this is what we would use here in USA. Okay, and this is what we would use across the pond. So if you again wanted to know more on this, in fact, let's do this. Let's go to Google and type in format SQL 2012. Excuse me. So this is, like I said, a new item here, and then they show you how to use it. They have the syntax. They give you different examples. Okay, and so definitely check that out. I believe there's other people are already writing about this, so find out more on what they are sharing on the web. And then last but not least, I have I have another command, which is the parse function. Basically, the idea behind this one is that you are trying to convert from one data type to another. So let's say you may be going from a string to a numeric or date time format. How would you do that? You can obviously, if you're familiar with SQL, you can use things like cast function or convert. Okay, but this is another avenue for you. So now July 24, 2012, this is a string, okay, but I would like it to be outputted as a date time. Maybe I need to use it in my application or something. Okay, so you highlight that, and then now our format, instead of being a string, it is going to be a date time. So that's all I wanted to discuss here. As a recap, we showed you the sequence command. This is similar in concept to the auto number, but it can be used with tables to keep track of let's say the primary foreign key type things. We looked at some date functions, which are definitely useful in SQL 12. Then we moved on to using offset, which can be used to fetch a certain range of records from your data set. We looked at the choose logical function and the inline if function. Okay, then we moved on to the throw command, the concat function, format command, and then finally the parse function. So that ends our lesson today. Thank you for watching the video.